Welcome back to the Elevate Up Plus YouTube channel. I am your host, Steve C. I'm a leadership coach and trusted advisor. Some know me as the Sherpa. Well, today is kind of a part two of the last episode that we did on above the floor versus below the floor thinking on the power of choice. And I love this concept that I learned from a good coach and author, Steve Chandler, called the ladder of leadership or the ladder of consciousness. And on this ladder, you'll see it's kind of like this scale as you scale up or down on this. So it's a really good visual of no matter where I'm at any given moment, non-linearly, I can see how I'm showing up. Last time we talked about above the floor. So if you're looking at the top part of the ladder, think of this above the floor thinking. Lower part of the ladder, think of like this below the floor. So if you think about this idea that I have opportunity to show up, the best form of myself would be love, that I'm unattached to the outcome of my intentions, of how I show up in the world, my family, my work, my relationships. All I have is I'm giving something above wanting something in return. This place of love, showing up from a higher level of consciousness, things like kindness, patience, self-control, things like joy, peace, grace, selflessness, right? It's this idea that we learned in the last episode called ownership. It's where I have this growth mindset. I see that I have ability, that I can have choice in my next actions, my attitude, my behavior, the way that I show up, right? We talked about experiences last time, that I think of it like I'm on an escalator. And if I'm heading up or down, say I'm heading up because I'm making wiser choices from a higher level of consciousness using my prefrontal cortex on this ladder. But I can also choose to let the escalator go down the floor, down the levels of the ladder when I have things like jealousy, resentment, right? Things like bitterness, blame, and judgment. It's this idea where I'm giving my power away, that I no longer hold the power. I become more victim. And really this comes from this fixed mindset that Carol Dweck talks about in her book, Mindset. And what happens here on the bottom of the ladder is this idea of fear. The only thing below fear would be death, right? Fear is like a paralysis. Fear is I'm attached to the outcome of whatever it is that I'm intending for, right? So if I'm wanting to have a relationship or wanting to do a better job at work, the fear is going to be driving me, is going to be there needs to be something that comes from this for me. And oftentimes it shows up in the form of ego that gets in the way, ego that wants to self-protect. Oftentimes flight or freeze comes into play when I'm trying to protect self, right? When there's something that I need for me. The lower I go on the ladder, the less I feel like I have agency, or the less I feel like I have any choice to respond to the stimulus in my life. But above, higher up on the ladder, this highest place of love, I get to come from a place called spirit. I get to come from a place of egolessness, this place of I'm unattached to the outcome. I want a good outcome, but I'm not attached to it. I don't let others dictate my joy. I don't let others steal the things that I feel contented about. Think about the book I mentioned last time, Man's Search for Meaning, when Viktor Frankl said, people couldn't starve the joy out of him, that you couldn't